Hi everybody, this is Zoe from Belvoir Bedford and I'm here today with Councillor Louise Jackson, who's the portfolio holder for Public Health and Wellbeing. Good afternoon, Louise.
Hi, thanks for inviting me.
Today, I don't know if you know the reason we're doing this. We're wanting to speak to people in the community about how lockdown version 2 has affected them and just sort of get a general overview of how life's been during this interesting time that we've been in since March. Before we get into the nitty gritty, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself for anybody that doesn't know who you are?
Yeah, so as you introduced me, my name is Louise and I have the portfolio for Public Health, Health and Wellbeing at Bedford Borough Council, and I live in Clapham. I represent Harper Ward, which is where you're situated, and I've been doing this since 2011, so quite a long time as a councillor. It's a really fantastic job, and it's a real privilege to be able to represent people. But it has been really different this year.
Yeah, generally, pandemic aside, what would your portfolio, what sort of things would you be doing?
Oh, we work. I mean, I oversee smoking cessation programs, the healthy weight programs. We look at vaccinations. That's a really important part of what we do. And obviously, flu season's upon us, so making sure that the flu vaccines are distributed. Sexual health services fall under my portfolio as well. And I also work with our partners, the CCG, the mental health provider, look at overall mental well-being. That's really what I do. Now, a lot of that obviously still continues because we people don't stop getting ill, needing to access these services during a pandemic, although it has been more difficult. But it has been quite a different year, and quite intense, and obviously working because uh, public health kind of sat a little bit on the fringes. I mean, not, it shouldn't have done, but perhaps
Yeah.
it does. And some of the things, the benefits that you realise from public health initiatives are a lot further down the line. So it's very easy, certainly in national government, for those things to be pushed to one side because you can't very easily realise the benefits in an electoral
I
term, for
assume
example.
you'd sort of jump in with when there's a problem and you're not necessarily dealing with the symptoms. Is that what you mean by that? Is that
Well, health inequalities is one of the things that we obviously seek to address, and there are health inequalities in Bedford Borough, and this pandemic has just shone such a light on all of that, and we can see now those health inequalities in our black community, in our South Asian community in Bedford, that we've got a really diverse borough, but people from black and Asian communities in particular have been quite badly impacted by coronavirus. So that has really reminded us of the work that we need to do to address those
yeah,
inequalities, and that's a big part of what I think we're going to have to do going forward as we come out of this. Well, now really, and we
yeah,
are we are
yeah.
making inroads, but clearly there's a lot of work to do.
For people that don't really know, this is not your full-time job, is it?
It
A
is now.
counsellor, well, yeah, being a counsellor is generally it's a voluntary position. It's not something you do as a
It
full-time
is
job normally.
it is remunerated. We do receive an allowance as councillors, and I receive additional allowances for holding a portfolio because I
Yeah,
sit on the mayor's executive. So yeah, I wouldn't claim that I don't receive anything for it, but normally councillors have a job alongside that. And I mean, until January this year, I did, and I ran Mohammed Yassin's offices as his executive office manager, which is good because they were kind of very complementary roles, because a lot of what I did as a councillor could help with his work, and the work I've worked for lots of years in and around Parliament. So
must be an
very,
interesting
yeah,
place.
it has. But um, Brexit, all of that process over the last couple of years, it really took its toll. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to give myself a bit of time out and just really focus on my portfolio and do some stuff around tackling those health inequalities. Work with our with our more vulnerable populations, do some stuff with diabetes, that kind of thing, and yeah, enjoy focusing on my portfolio. And of course,
COVID hit.
hasn't quite been like that this year, because
So one of the questions we usually ask at this point is, how's lockdown been for you then? How have you kept positive during lockdown?
I've been really busy, and I think that helps. It was the first time around, it was quite difficult because I had two and sometimes three children here in
Wow.
well, they're teenage boys, and I spent a lot of time sort of moving laptops around the house to avoid them, and you can see I'm in a conservatory at the moment, and this is about there is a couple of months of the year where it's actually quite a nice place to sit. Unfortunately, that's where we're at the moment. The rest of the time
It's like a
it's
greenhouse.
either freezing or I'm boiling, and it's the only place that I can go to work where I can shut the door and I don't get interrupted every 5 minutes. So first time around it was challenging. It hasn't felt quite the same this time. I mean,
No.
the boys are in school, although there have been periods of isolation for them, and yeah, it's felt a bit more like normal life. Although nothing's normal at the moment, is it?
No.
I've got this thing clamped to my head all day long, and I'm talking to you on
Yeah.
a screen.
Taxi for Luton Airport. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, for you then, you probably, because you've been in the sort of midst of all of this, have seen quite a lot of negative stuff. So how have you kept yourself sort of cheered up, if you like, or kept yourself going? And sort of, do you compartmentalize certain things, or is it just head down, ass up and get on with it sort of thing?
I think certainly it's been easier heading into this wave because we knew what to expect, but it was very intense first time around, and when we started to see people dying, and looking at those figures as they came through every day, and doing, we've obviously, our public health team have been absolutely amazing, and be clear, I'm not a public health professional, I'm a politician. They're the people who've been working really, really hard throughout this, and they're amazing. But that is hard, and it's kind of depressing, and when you're talking about more capacity and things like that, as we were, it's not the sort of conversation that you expect to be having. But I think we now know a little bit more about the virus, and we know a little bit more about what to expect, and I think we understand how to treat it a little better. So yeah, I don't think I've needed to compartmentalize, because I have been living, as everyone has, but yeah, it has been, my everyday has been talking about this pandemic, but it's a public duty, isn't it? So I have to get on with it.
Are you one, so when the conservatory door closes, that's that bit dealt with for the day, and I'm now just Louise with my glass of Chardonnay and whatever music you like to listen to. Do you know?
I don't drink white wine. I'm not saying I don't drink anything. Anyone who knows me will know that that is not true.
Drink sensibly.
But not white wine. No, absolutely. I think, like everyone, though, I probably at the start of the pandemic was drinking too much.
Fluffy slippers and gin and tonic, wasn't it?
5 o'clock, oh, it's all finished. I mean, it really didn't finish at 5 o'clock actually for me, but yeah, I think we all fell into some bad habits, but doing things a lot different this time around. Like everyone, I made sourdough. I've got this. Yeah, I did that. Everyone was doing it. Didn't you do it?
No. Have I missed something there? I watched Tiger King.
I watched Tiger King. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I think the TV's better this time around. I think there's more.
Well, we're coming into the autumn, aren't we? So you do tend to get better,
there's good stuff on. But yeah, going for walks. I'm lucky enough to have some really nice woodland not far from me, and that's my happy place. Going around looking at the birds, gardening, grew lots of veg.
Oh, there's a lot of that went on as well, wasn't there? Yeah.
Yeah. It's life affirming, isn't it, when you see all these little seedlings pop up, and particularly if you can eat it. That's
So hopefully, I mean, fingers crossed, in a few weeks' time, we might be coming out the other side of this. But obviously, anyone that's feeling a little bit crummy at the moment, have you got any sort of tips, or as I call them, the golden nuggets of positivity to share with anybody out there that may be feeling a little bit low at the moment and can't
I
see an
think
end to this?
I think it's really difficult, isn't it? And although you say in a few weeks' time, and I'm definitely we'll move back to the really positive thing, but there is an important message I need to get out here. Although we're hearing lots of positive stuff about vaccines, and I'm very confident that we will have something very soon that we
Yeah,
can start rolling out. That's light at the end of the tunnel. We're not through the tunnel yet, and we do have to keep ourselves safe. But there are a lot of people who have been very isolated throughout all of this. Um, I mean, for me, I have to make sure that I get out for a walk every day. That's so important,
yeah,
and it makes the world of difference. Just make sure that you do get out, and exercising is great. We have through the borough. With our sports development team, we've developed classes that you can join online, live exercise classes, and there is some interaction there as well with the class, and they've been really popular, and that's a good way to keep yourself positive. Exercise is so important for your physical health, but it's really important for your mental well-being as well. So that that's something I definitely recommend. Cooking, if we all have our own interests.
yeah.
I mean, none of us could get flour at the start of all this,
Or
but
toilet paper. What was
that's right.
that all about?
Actually, no, I had that problem nailed because I had a I still have a subscription. I don't know if you've heard of Who Gives a Crap toilet paper. Right, okay, well, no, it's
Listen,
sustainable.
listen, people of Bedford, this is a golden
A
nugget
top
now.
tip on toilet paper. Well, no, they send me a box of this stuff. Well,
Is
I
it
pay for it.
special? Is it paid?
Yeah, because it's sustainable, and for every box or roll, I can't remember. They build a toilet in a country where there aren't many toilets. So
Yeah.
I'm doing something good, but clearly they thought we used more in our household than we
Well, did you
actually
not
do.
say you
And
had three
all last
teenage
year,
boys?
well, well, I don't want to talk about what happens there because clearly not. But anyway, all last year they were sending me box after box. My partner kept saying to me, "There's another one." You've said, well, when everyone else had no toilet paper, see, I had it nailed. I've got stacks of stuff. So Zoe, if you ever run out, you know where to come.
I'll bet. Listen,
Yeah.
everybody.
You didn't think this is where this conversation
No,
was going to
no,
go.
no. Hey, that's absolutely fine with me as long as you're okay with it.
I'm fine with it.
So there's a golden nugget, if you want to call it that. That's probably a completely wrong way of describing it.
Yeah.
So
But
obviously going back to
music is the other thing.
yeah,
You asked how I keep myself sane. I listen to music. I love music.
yeah, you look like a really big Little Mix fan.
I'm really not a Little Mix fan, and I know you know that's not where I'm at.
Well, if you are anybody out there that is, that's absolutely fine as well. Because if we all like the same music, the world would be a very boring place. So.
Absolutely. But yeah, listening to music is great, and I have the radio on. It just lifts me.
Yeah.
Listening to new
So
music.
going back to what you were saying about anybody that sort of feels like isolated, does the Borough Council have anything where you bring, if you like, not physically together, but you bring people together? Is there like a network of, I know there's a lot of lovely Facebook groups out there at the moment that are all, helping each other out, but is there something that the borough's doing where you can connect up with people that then can, you can reach out to them and give them that little bit of extra support if they need it?
Yeah, I mean, we do have the community hub, and that's been a really important resource for people throughout the pandemic. So we set that up quite quickly for people who were shielding and offering support. Obviously, we work in partnership with our mental health provider, and for people who are really feeling like they're in crisis, there's all sorts of support there, and they're developing befriending services, and there's more work I think that we can do as a borough to help with that. And I've been talking to East London Foundation Trust about the possibility of
Yeah.
expanding on some of that. But there are lots of local groups that have sprung up because we are an amazing community.
Yeah.
I mean, you may have seen, if you've been on Facebook, Bedford Kindness, that I'm going to talk about the work that they've been doing, because they pulled people together really, really quickly, and they were really helpful, making sure that people had shopping and calling people to make sure that they were okay. So obviously our community hub, we're doing that too.
Yeah.
And we had a huge number of resources in human resources coming to assist with all of that. But yeah, the community has been quite self-sustaining, I think, and there's been a lot that's it's brought people together, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because we're sort of going on this second journey, as I say. I don't like saying journey, but I've found out so many really interesting things about what people are doing, and especially some, if you like, the hospitality, some of the things that they're doing to just sort of think out the box a little bit, and one of the things I'm always sort of saying and banging on about is just buy local, just rather than, go where you can. There's a lot of doing delivery and takeout service now.
But we've got some amazing local independent businesses, haven't we, in Bedford? The whole borough is we've got such innovative people, and I must admit, when the supermarkets were absolutely heaving and you couldn't get in the door at the start of all this, I avoided all of that, because there were lots of local businesses that were very well stocked, where you could go and get your shopping and not meet too many people along the way. So maintaining a social distance was important, and we were keeping those businesses ticking over. And pubs that were doing a fantastic Sunday roasts that you could take away.
I mean, I know there's a lot of online quizzes going on. I think, is it the White Horse at the bottom end of Cllr? I think they're doing one.
They?
And then I don't know if you've come across, because you go back to the music, the Beer Fly on St Cuthbert's are doing these Beer Fly sessions, and there's a YouTube channel. There's a guy.
They're doing music.
Live music, well, streaming it, and I've come across that, and I was like, wow. And some of these groups are like amazing, for like local bands that you would never.
A lot of talent in Bedford.
I know, and that's what I mean. We're doing really well in this.
But they were also I think they still are delivering as well.
Beer Fly doing deliveries,
had to move pretty quickly at the start of the first lockdown to.
And then we were chatting to is it Kevin Kavanagh from the Blue Glass? They're doing a lot of deliveries as well. And I mean, there's so much. I mean, just checking out sort of Facebook, there's loads of stuff going on.
I mean, I wouldn't want to name any individual shops, because there are so many.
That's what I mean. You start, it's never-ending list of people doing positive things. So the last thing I probably just want to ask you about before we let you go, because obviously with everything going off, is what sort of positivity could you give the people of Bedford? You were saying about the light at the end of the tunnel. Is there one last message you'd like to just sort of say to people? And then obviously on the back of that is, if anybody does want to, from the Harper Ward, reach out to you, is there a way, are you running surgeries now, or how do people connect with you in this sort of weird time that we're in?
I'm always available. My phone number has been pushed through doors of everybody in Harper, and I'm sure it's available. You can find it on the borough website. So if anyone needs to contact me for anything at all, please just pick up the phone, and I'll do what I can to help. And if I'm not the right person to help, then I will put you in touch with somebody who is. So that's the first thing I would say. My colleague, Cllr Atkins, she's just the same. We are here. We used to run surgeries on a Saturday in Sainsbury's once a month. However, we're not doing that at the moment for obvious reasons. So we haven't started doing virtual surgeries, because people have tended to just get in touch with us anyway, and there are various WhatsApp and Facebook groups running. But I'm always available, and there are a variety of different ways to contact me. The light at the end of the tunnel, I think we're getting there. we're not there yet, and we've all got to focus and try and stick to the rules for now. And it's so hard, and I think people are really fed up, and I completely understand that. However, if we don't want to see more people getting sick and dying because of this disease, so we have to maintain our distance for now. But the fact that there is this vaccine on the horizon, well, several now, that all are showing a great deal of promise and have been tested, and means that this is not forever. We're not going to be in this constant cycle of lockdown and then a little bit of a relaxation and back in it again. So I think that's what we need to remember, because until now we didn't have that hope, and now it's here. So
I mean,
it's just a little bit further to go.
Yeah, just a little bit further. Now, you know, I might be putting you on the spot a little bit here. What do you think is going to happen on the 2nd of December? Have you got any ideas where we'll be the next day, or is it still sort of in the air a little bit?
Well, I think Bedford Borough's rates have been rising. I think that's. I think I need to be honest with you about that, Zoe. We're not in the best place. We're not. Our infection rates aren't as high as some other towns, like Luton, for example. But nonetheless, we're going in the wrong direction, and we've just had our highest recorded week.
Is that because there's a 2-week lag, though, or is that? I mean,
it might well be that what we're seeing now is the effects of, if you like, the last hurrah.
Last hurrah, yeah.
And we hope, start to see a little bit of a fall soon. But that is dependent on everybody observing the rules.
That's no excuse to go, yay.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, but I don't want to end this with negativity.
No,
I think most people do understand what they need to do and the reasons for it, and I think they do. I think the people of Bedford Borough have been absolutely tremendous, and like I said earlier, everyone pulling together as a community to join all these groups, get out and speak to the neighbours, make sure that everybody was well fed. You know, it's been amazing. I think we can come away from this. We'll all be working differently. I think we'll all be so grateful for the interactions that we do have, and looking forward to being able to hug people again, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's not that
far. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. And I just hope you do get 5 minutes to spend some time in your new camper van.